hepatitis.
Californians will be watching to see if he can make good on them. Mr. Schwarzenegger said he would roll back the car registration tax, which Davis tripled. He also said he would balance the state budget without new taxes. He promised to repeal the law that gave driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants and to get the state what he calls a fair share of Indian gaming revenues, especially taxing casinos. He also said he'll streamline California schools and get more money for classrooms. Schwarzenegger's biggest battle may be making good on his promise to stop the influence of special interest groups in Sacramento. Many say their stranglehold on Sacramento is crippling the state. Joining us was supposed to be Ken Cater from the San Diego Democratic Party this morning. He is not here yet. We're not sure, he may be caught in traffic, but Mark Price, chairman of the San Diego Association of Republican Elected Officials, is. So we're going to go ahead and start, and if Ken shows up, we'll just run him out here, Mark. First 100 days. Obviously, every politician who takes office for the first time gets a honeymoon. But in this particular case, the Democratic-controlled legislature may be more scrutinized than the governor, or just as much, don't you think?
Well, I think they both should be. I think that this state's in bad shape. It's $25 billion upside down, and Governor-elect, soon to be at 11 o'clock this morning, Governor Schwarzenegger, has said that he's got a plan, and he's desirous of coming in and making a difference, and I think both sides should be looked at. We should look at the legislators and figure out what they're going to do or not do to make inroads, to make sure that the governor has an opportunity to lay his plan fully out. And we have to look at the governor to make sure the plan is something that makes sense for the state of California.
Everything that I've read this weekend shows that he's making the right moves. He's put together what they're calling an eclectic team. I mean, they're calling them tree huggers, tree cutters, insiders, outsiders, you name it, in the newspapers. And so he is getting input from all sides. That's a good thing?
It's a great thing. He's doing everything right. He's doing exactly what he said he'd do in the campaign, which is kind of nice. It's refreshing to see a politician actually say things in the campaign and then make it come true. He's pulled together these, as you say, an eclectic group. He's got Republicans, he's got Democrats, he's got independents, he's got men, he's got women, he's got tree huggers, tree choppers. He's got everybody on his staff and in his administration, and it's a wonderful opportunity to work together. And I truly do hope that the legislature, which, as you know, is democratically controlled, is going to say, let's not attack, let's not do business as usual, but let's really try to give this person, who so far is doing exactly what he said he was going to do, let's give him a chance. Let's work with him. Let's do what's best and what's right for the citizens of the state of California.
Do you think the legislature will begin distancing itself from some of these special interest groups now? Because obviously the political spotlight is going to be on Sacramento, at least for the next few months, to see who it is who's taking the most money, who it is who's beholden to whom. And it's going to be, it really will be under a microscope, not only here in California, but throughout the country.
Well, the ugly underbelly of politics, which is, in today's world, that part of politics that is constantly looking for problems and looking for ways to attack, that's going to exist. But I think that overall, at least, if you remember, the governor has until January 10th, and has said he's going to propose a budget by January 10th. Let's give him till January 10th. Let's work together to put into that budget things that are going to make sense for the state of California. And then on January 10th, let's look at it, and then let the legislature take it and do what they need to do to change it, adopt it, adapt it, edit it, refine it.
I want to ask you, do you think Republicans are really that dead set in this state in the fiscal problems that we're in against some type of tax on something, on, you know, maybe it's a purchase tax, you know, something like that, as opposed to an income tax or raising state taxes, whatever. Do you think Republicans are that opposed to raising taxes, even for, say, 5 years, a 5-year plan?
I think what the Republicans are most bothered with is the continued adding of taxes without the looking at ways to cut spending. And if this governor-elect, soon-to-be governor, steps in and says, you know, we've got some waste here. We've got some spending that needs to be cut. We've got some spending that needs to be addressed. If he actually does that, I think you're going to have Republicans, conservative, moderate Republicans, who are going to step up and say, you know, we're willing to look at both sides of that coin, but you show us that you truly are going to step up there and do some cutting and get rid of some wasted spending which exists in Sacramento.
I think the first thing everybody's going to wait to see is the car tax repeal. That was the very first thing. I mean, in fact, it was the first plank in his platform. says, I will get rid of this thing. It may be a little bit more difficult than he may think. In the beginning, he said, I will sign that out of it. That's just not the way it's done.
Well, it was signed in, as you might recall. It was done by...
Well, it was almost automatic, though. I mean, if you look at the
it still needed an executive order, a signature by Governor Gray Davis, which he, with our local representative Steve Peace, made happen. And they signed that tripling of the car tax in without bringing it to the legislature, which they didn't have to do. But you'd think ethically and morally you would. A tripling of a tax you would bring back before the legislature for some public debate. That didn't happen. He says that he's going to, shortly after being inaugurated today and taking over the reins as governor, one of the first things he's going to do is repeal it. And look at his day-to-day. Unlike previous governors who've done these gala balls.
Sure.
He's not doing that.
You're talking about a $250,000 basically paper plate situation here, and he says, I'm not even going to the party. I'm going to work.
This afternoon, he's going to be at his desk working. And one of the things he says he's going to do is, I understand, try to repeal the tripling of the car tax. But he's also going to, I believe, call back into session the state legislature starting, I think, tomorrow, to get them to work in special session on the budget, on workman's comp, and also perhaps the giving of the driver's licenses to the illegals.
He's got a tough road to hoe. It'll be interesting the next 90 days, the next 100 days to see what happens, and hopefully